So what does it really take to be successful with Facebook Marketplace dropshipping? Well, today I'm sitting down with Dinesh. He's been doing dropshipping for years now on eBay, Amazon, and Facebook Marketplace, and he's the creator of FBM Fox. So he has a ton of experience when it comes to dropshipping, knows what works and what doesn't work. We're going to talk about what does work in this video. So thanks for coming on. How you been, man?
Yeah, I've been good. I guess I'm debuting on your channel is what I had in mind. I still haven't shown my own face on my own channel, but I've been following you for a long time and I wanted to jump on this call and stuff. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, we first connected, I think a few months ago, several months ago now. And when we first did that, I felt like you were a bit mysterious. I was like, who is this guy? Kind of like a blank screen, but I get it, man. I mean, you're putting yourself out there, so I get it. But why don't you kind of take people back and tell us like who you are and about your whole story and why we're having you on the channel today.
So I'm the guy who made FBM Fox, or the owner, founder, CEO. Don't really like saying CEO all the time because it gets cheesy, but I built this company like a year and a half ago. I've actually been in the space for a long time, but I've just been in sort of like the background. I started in this space like 5 years ago. So I was like 17. I was like a freshman in college. And it was the David Vu thing. It seems like everyone's from the David Vu group. So
yeah, can you explain what that is if people don't know?
Yeah, so it was a course on Udemy that basically taught people how to resell online, and in a simple manner, but it was pretty damn outdated. You know, you would basically rely on people posting in the groups about their results and their strategies to basically mimic them and make your sales happen also. You know, Paul would post and they called it like your selling journey, and Paul was like 2 months ahead of me or something. And, you know, I was like, oh wow, Paul's got this much sales. Maybe next month I'll get this much, you know, and it was cool. I used you know, Becky and a few other people as reference points to like judge my progress in this space. And then I was also doing college full time. I finished my computer science degree about 8 months ago. You know, I sold online for about 3.5 years. And, you know, I learned some tactics from you about selling online that really helped, like optimization and then like snoptimization, which was like finding what sells and then optimizing it so it sells better. It's some things like that. But I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned from you that's like aside from selling online was like just consistency. So over the 5 years, I saw you post in the Udemy group. Then I saw you start a blog. Then I saw you start a YouTube channel and you had like 500 subscribers. And then you grew it to thousands. But then there were many points in the space where there was like an extinction event, an asteroid hit or something. And everyone's like, oh my God, like run for the hills. This thing is dead, like all of that. But you like consistently stayed on it. I was in school, so I was like on and off doing this stuff. But when I first started, the biggest channel had like 5,000 subscribers. And then you consistent over time, you're at like what, like almost 100K now, right?
Closing in, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I would have never like predicted that. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned from you. Probably just consistency during the downs and the ups. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I didn't tell him to say that, any of that stuff before he came on. So I appreciate that, man. And you know, it is interesting because when I first had one of those extinction events, as you call it, I like that, the way you describe that, I panicked. Like I was like, this is it, it's over. Like dropshipping is dead. This is not gonna work anymore. But I just have this momentum. So I just kept going, figured out a way to make it work. And then we had another one of those events, another one. And by like the third one, I was like, meh, this is happening. We're gonna figure out a way to make it work. And the longer you're in the game, the more you realize that is the way it works. You just gotta keep pushing through and you'll find solutions. And that's what makes people successful as opposed to people who give up and never see success with it.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's a massive learning that I learned from just the space overall.
So did you actually stop dropshipping for a while?
In my junior year of college, I was selling on eBay and Amazon. Basically what happened was, you know, we had the COVID boom and then there was a COVID down, or like my suppliers weren't able to fill my orders and things were just haywire. Then what I realized was, first of all, I just had like high expectations for dropshipping. I wanted like hundreds of thousands or millions in profit, but I never got to that point. I was like, damn, this is kind of a L. So like if I just got a job as a programmer, I'd make like 6 figures. So I was like, why am I wasting time here? I'm clearly not good at this. So I'll stop it. So I stopped it for a while. And then I just did school, you know, looked around for opportunities, applied for jobs a little bit. And then, you know, I was informed about this new opportunity that's coming up, which was Facebook. And I actually tried Facebook. I sold on it, and I listed like 3 of my good sellers from Amazon and eBay. I listed them on Facebook, and these products would sell like once a week or twice a week on eBay and Amazon, but I listed them on Facebook and they sold like all 3 within like an hour or something. I was just like dumbfounded. I was like, oh my God, there wasn't any stable softwares out there for it. I've always had that entrepreneurial like knack, and I knew how to code really well. So I decided to build it myself in my last year of college.
So you were still in college while you were doing this?
Yeah. It got pretty hectic at one point. So I was programming for like 12 hours a day at one point for like maybe 3 or 4 months.
But specifically for FBM Fox?
No,
like
overall.
Okay.
Because in your last year of college, it's all project-based tasks, right? So you're expected to work in a group and deliver projects based on the stuff you learned. So I was programming there, and then I would get that done. And then after that, I would program FBM Fox and try and just get some users on it, like get somebody to use it. So then I could put that money towards the programmers or something like that. So yeah.
So how did you get those first users?
Initially, it was just through word of mouth affiliates. I had some very little affiliates. So I don't know if this person like Jared.
Yeah.
So he was like user number 6 or 7, and his software wasn't working on his laptop. So I did a Zoom call with him and I'm like, let me fix it. And then he looked like presentable and kind of handsome, and he could talk. And like, I was like, oh damn, man, you're kind of like handsome, you can present. So I was like, why don't you make YouTube videos and like sell my software, and I'll give you like commission for every sale. So it was just like really, really tiny for a very long time. And I feel like maybe I wouldn't put that much work into it again, just because it was like so much effort for so long. But eventually the software got to a point where bigger people started trusting the brand, such as yourself and other people, and eventually that made it successful.
Cool. And so how long has it been out there now at this point?
I think we're closing off on like a year and a half, or maybe a bit more than that.
Do you want to share like how many users you have at the moment? Do you know that number?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say it's plural, thousands.
Wow.
So not all of the users are paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a free forever plan, and then we have paid users. So yeah, plural, it's in the thousands.
But that's still a lot. How did you scale that up? I mean, did you finish your degree? Let's kind of go back there. Did you actually finish your degree?
Yeah.
And did you get work after that?
No. So I got my degree done, and then what's funny is like, if I had just drop shipped on Facebook, and that's it, I probably would have made more money than in like the first 8 months. Because in the software, I made like no money for like the first like 9 months. So I graduated, and even then, like my revenues for this company or users were not very impressive. But what happened was like, I just kept listening to the users and working. And eventually my biggest problem was I wasn't understanding my user. So I thought like, I'll build something really complicated and people will like it because I like that, because I'm a tech whatever guru. And then once I understood that people want something easy to use, simple, then I really started catching it. And then that's when I started making software for that use. And then it started blowing up. And the way I actually got to that conclusion was like, I made my mom, who's much older but still young enough to dropship, but I taught her how to do it. And she was using my software and then a competitor's software. And she was like, I like the competitors. And I was like, what? How could you say that? And she's like, cause it's easy, and like yours is way too complicated. Like, and it's, all these problems. And I was like heartbroken, and then I had to pivot. So yeah.
No, that makes sense to me. When I started dropshipping, I tried one on eBay, a few different software. One of them I really liked in many regards, but it was so difficult to use. It was not user-friendly, intuitive at all. It confused me after using it for a year. So when I tried to teach it to other people, they weren't getting it. So when new software came along and it was so much just streamlined, very beginner friendly, and even things like your user interface, is that like an appropriate word? Mm-hmm. Like when you log in, what you see, it's clear, right? It makes sense. Everything, is intuitive when you use it, which for the users who wants to just scale up and just use it and doesn't need all the complicated stuff, that's really powerful.
Yeah. So at that point, I mean, I'm grateful that I didn't have to look for a job, because even 3 months after graduating, I probably would have made more money from a job than I would building this business. But eventually it got to a point where once Q4 hit, once we had like product market fit, then, people started accepting us. And I was like, okay, I can continue to work on entrepreneurial endeavors and I can feed myself and stuff like that.
Your software, for those of you who don't know what it does, can you explain what FBM Fox does exactly?
It's like a all-in-one suite for inventory management on Facebook Marketplace and shops at the moment. Right now, we're just going with the turns of the platform that is Facebook. It's very new, not mature, almost beta. And, we're just trying to make it easier for sellers to use our software to easily sell on Facebook Marketplace and shops.
Yeah, so it does everything from helping list items for you, reprice them if the price changes on like Walmart, stock level changes. Anything else I'm missing there?
Yeah, it does product research. People ask me like what it does all the time, but I always forget because we have like so much. It tracks your orders, virtual assistant logins, you can manage that. It has some cool feature for corporates who have master accounts, so they can set up hierarchies, managers, all this kind of stuff.
Cool. Yeah, and I use it for my own shops. This is focused on Facebook Marketplace and Facebook shops. And you were saying before how you were kind of blown away at the results that you were getting pretty quickly with it. So now that you're using the software with a lot of different users, what kind of results are some of your users getting? Are they still seeing these like incredible sales on Facebook?
Full transparency, I think sales peaked around May. So everyone's sales were just like ridiculously high. And then I think the economy mixed with a lot of like Facebook changes have slowed down that heat. Right now, everybody's not at like all-time high sales, but everyone's still getting sales and we're solid. But one thing that I advised was, when we came out with like the bulk upload and uploading a ridiculous amount of products, like that was in last October or September. So almost a year ago. And we advised that that's the best route to go back then and probably for 8 months. And then we suggested that after this, the best route is probably optimization. Right now, I have to be honest with you, Facebook's selling is not saturated. It's not. There's just not that many sellers on it. We're not necessarily seeing a rapid increase of sellers. We're just seeing decrease of buyers. That's what's happening because of the economy, right? So in this case, I would say optimization works really well. Yeah, I think that's the best route for probably until the end of the year. Once the economy recovers a bit more, then it'd probably be bulk, just because there's no saturation at all with sellers yet in Facebook. Not at all.
Yeah, and that kind of blows me away because it's such a huge opportunity, Facebook. There's just so much money to be made there and people aren't hopping on it. I just don't think most people know about it as an opportunity of a place to sell. So it's really cool. Where do you see it going in the future, drop shipping in general? Because you've done eBay, you've done Amazon, you've done Facebook. How do they all compare in your eyes and where do you see it all going?
I think Facebook long term, if they keep up the initiative, which I hope they do, because they're having some company struggles or something like that, I heard. As long as they keep it up, I think they can overtake eBay and become that platform for seller to seller. I think eBay is going to go down like a negative spiral. That's what I think. Because Facebook has that social proof like mastered, right? It's already in their system. And that's really important for seller to or buyer to buyer or whatever. And I think Amazon is very strict. So I'd say you probably want to stick with Facebook and eBay selling, just like how you tell your users. They're the easiest. I think you want to have multiple channels running. I don't think you ever want one. When I was most profitable as a seller, I had more than one channel selling. And that way, if something happens to one account, you're chilling. It's still going to work.
Cool.
So you said what the future of dropshipping would be. I think the future looks bright. I think this is the entry level business for anybody to start without, I say this analogy, which is kind of out there, but if you have no money and you want to start a business and you have no business experience, like you can either sell a substance or, dropship. I chose to dropship rather than go the other route. So it's like, I think this thing is that entry level base. And it's like guaranteed to work. So a lot of Shopify stuff doesn't work. You got to invest money for ads. Like I had a friend who was selling on Shopify and then he became successful. Then he ran out of money. He put all his money in ads, ran out, then got a job, then restarted the thing. And you're never going to have that in this method, right?
Yeah, the overhead is just really low with it. You don't have to pay for the ads. You don't have to build a website. You don't have to buy the inventory up front. And when you're taking advantage of a marketplace like Facebook with so many buyers on it, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
What are your goals for yourself then going forward? Are you just going to stick with focusing on the software, or is it going to expand it? Do some drop shipping again of your own? What does that look like?
Yeah, so one of the reasons that I kind of stayed private was because like I didn't know what I was going to do next, and the company wasn't successful for a long time, so like I'm not really the part of like the fake it till you make it kind of thing. I'm more like hide until you make it. In the long term, I think I would keep this company running, try to just help users as much as possible. For me, the main thing that matters is like users, right? And that's why we added like the free plan, because like I just want you to use me. Like, that's all I care about. Long term, ideally, I'd like to move into a technical product that would help millions of people long term. Really, I'd just like to help more people with my technical products. So yeah, I think this space is pretty niche. It could grow rapidly over the next 5 years, but maybe not millions of people would use something like this.
Yeah, for some reason, this niche doesn't have the same appeal in many ways as something like Amazon FBA does, like private label, where a lot of people hear about it. It gets a lot of like media, like mainstream media attention, and people like kind of flock to it. I feel like the people that are in our world are a special type of people that really understand that there's an easier way to make money that actually works, but it's just a little bit weird to figure out. And then once you figure it out, it actually works. But it is a very interesting niche of people that we got in here.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm surprised that it hasn't, caught storm like Shopify, right? It has such a strong barrier to entry. You got to learn ads, you got to learn branding, all this stuff. And that is like number one in dropshipping, but the stuff we're doing here is not. It is kind of confusing, but hey, I still think as e-commerce grows, so e-commerce, there's a stat that only 23% of all retail sales happen in e-commerce right now. And when we started 5 years ago, it was like 17%. It's obviously going to double in the next like 5-10 years, and the future is bright.
Yeah. And I think that the pandemic kind of gave us a taste of what the future looks like, because there was just such an explosion of e-commerce sales. And I feel like that just was like the tip of the iceberg for what we're going to see next.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share like just regarding this software, we have some stuff coming up that like right now we're spending a lot of time on just like R&D, basically trying to see which marketplaces are best to also add in our software. So we did add Shopify, but that's like a different business model. But we have eBay coming up, Amazon coming up, Walmart also coming up. So those are some things to look forward to. If you're a user, they're just going to be included in your subscription, one subscription with all.
Okay, cool. And I'll have a link to FBM Fox if you guys want to check it out. It'll be down below in the description. You guys can just click on that. And I'll also put your Instagram on there as well. You said people can just reach out to you on Instagram. That's fine.
Yeah. So I've been pretty private on Insta and in general, but I'm open to networking a little more. I'm looking for mentors who've built larger businesses. I'd love to connect with anyone like that. Just talk about business in general. I've noticed like I like talking about mental stability most in business, because like no one really talks about that, and I feel like that was probably the hardest thing that I had to deal with when I was starting this thing. Like you have so many people who you have to manage or deal with in a positive way, and then there's a lot of negatives too, and like having your mental game on point is like very important. So those are the things that I'm looking forward to networking with people about.
That's huge stuff. I mean, the mental game is huge. That can really make or break you. And I find the more that you connect with people, the more you're going to grow and the better you're going to do. I improved so much as a dropshipper when I started making videos, because I had so many people reaching out to me, telling me, keep going because I love your videos. And also people telling me things like that are working for them that I was able to try myself. So it really helps a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One thing that just kept me going when I was building the software was when people got sales and they were like, hey, in 1 week, I made what more than the subscription costs. Like, amazing, right? That really kept me going. So
awesome. Do you have any final words for the viewers at home?
if you haven't tried FBM Fox, give it a shot. Use Paul's link. And I just want to say, like, Paul is a great resource to listen to and also observe. I'm sure you're gonna be consistent over the next couple of years also and grow even more. And I'm excited to see that.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And thanks so much for coming on. It's a great story to hear all about it. And I'm glad finally get to see the man behind the software.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you, Dinesh, for that awesome interview. Down below in the description will be everything we talked about in this video, including Dinesh's Instagram account, if you want to say hey to him. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see another interview I did with another successful dropshipper, click right here, and I'll see you there in just 1 second.